The witches control you because you do not know these 5 Psalms. For 12 years, I was a curse specialist inside the witchcraft coven in Nairobi. My job was to block the prayers of Christians and make sure every curse we sent against them would stick. But there were 5 Psalms we could never overcome. 5 Psalms that did not just protect the people who prayed them. Psalms sent our curses back to us. Every single time, by God's grace, I was set free. And now I am exposing the weapons the kingdom of darkness fears the most. In this testimony, I will reveal the 5 Psalms of judgment that send every curse back to the witch who sent it. These are not ordinary scriptures. They are spiritual weapons of reversal. Why covenants? Why covenants hold emergency meetings? Whenever a Christian starts praying these Psalms consistently. If you have experienced things that make no sense, repeated failures with no logical explanation, opportunities that disappear at the last moment, affinity. That disappear at the last moment, problems that doctors cannot diagnose, financial setbacks that seem timed and coordinated, relationships that fall apart for no visible reason, dreams where you are chased, attacked, beaten, or fed strange food. Listen to me carefully. There is a very strong chance that someone has sent a curse against you. Still working is that curse is still working, is that you have not activated the spiritual mechanism that sends it back to its source. You see, most Christians understand defense. They know how to pray for protection. They know how to plead the blood of Jesus. They know how to ask God to shield them. But these prayers are good. These prayers are necessary. But defense alone is not enough because a curse that is blocked does not disappear. It waits, it circles, it looks for weaknesses. And eventually, if the Christian gets tired, if the Christian gets distracted, the Christian has one night where they forget to pray, that curse finds its way in. What most Christians do not understand is that God has given them offensive weapons. Weapons that do not just block the curse, but reverse it. Weapons that take the curse and send it back to the witch who launched it with all the force of divine justice behind it. These weapons are found in 5 specific Psalms that David wrote under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit exactly for this purpose. In the kingdom of darkness, we feared many things. We feared the blood of Jesus when believers applied it correctly. We feared the midnight prayers of disciplined intercessors. We feared fasting combined with targeted declarations. But there was nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, more than a Christian who understood the Psalms of judgment and prayed them with authority. Them with authority. I know as a night watcher, you need to understand how rare these Christians was. Out of 100 believers we monitored, maybe 2 or 3 knew the Psalms of judgment, ente. Maybe one actually prayed them consistently. The vast majority of Christians had no idea these spiritual weapons existed, prayed generic protection prayers and wondered why curses kept coming. They bound and loosed. They declared and decreed. But they never activated the specific reversal mechanism contained in these 5 Psalms. Going to change today because after you hear what I am about to tell you, you will never face a curse the same way again. Let me explain why. When a Christian prays an ordinary protection prayer, that prayer creates a shield, blocks the curse from reaching them. That is good, that is necessary. But the curse itself does not die. It hovers, it waits, looks for a gap in the shield, and the moment the Christian gets tired, distracted, angry, or discouraged, that shield weakens and the curse gets through. But the Psalms of judgment operate on a completely different level. Psalms do not just block the curse, they reverse it. They take the curse and send it back to the person who sent it with multiplied force. And here is what made us panic. Psalm of judgment activated the reversal. There was nothing the witch could do to stop it. It became a boomerang, and the witch who sent it became the target. I am going to reveal these 5 Psalms to you today. Stories of what happened when Christians prayed them against our coven. But first, you must understand something. This is not revenge. This is divine justice. The Bible is very clear that those who dig a pit for others will fall into it themselves. Those who set a trap for the innocent will be caught in their own trap. God did not create these Psalms so believers could attack people. He created them so believers could activate the spiritual law of reversal that sends every weapon formed against them back to its source. Now, let me begin. The first psalm, Psalm 35, the psalm of judgment that sends curses back to the sender, is Psalm 35. Psalm begins with these words: Contend, Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me. When I operated in the kingdom of darkness, we called Psalm 35 the courtroom psalm. The reason we called it that is because the psalm does something most Christians do not understand. Bring your spiritual case before the divine court, means God as your advocate, and it commands heaven to fight your battle on your behalf. Most Christians pray Psalm 35 as a general prayer. They say the words quickly and move on. But when a Christian prays Psalm 35 with understanding, with authority, that with the specific intention of reversing curses, something happened. The night watcher is politically devastating for witches. Let me tell you what happened when we targeted a woman I would call Mama Rose. Rose was a teacher in Nairobi. Quiet, gentle woman who minded her own business, taught children during the week, and went to church on Sunday. She had no idea that her own sister-in-law had hired our coven to destroy her life. The sister-in-law was jealous because Rose's husband had been promoted at his government job and they were building a new house. Snorts. The jealousy had festered for years. Finally, the sister-in-law came to our coven and paid a large sum of money to have Rose's life dismantled. The mission was complete: destroy her marriage, make her children sick, cause her husband to lose his promotion, stop the construction of the house, create confusion and poverty where there was peace and progress. We sent the first wave of curses on a Friday night. By Monday, Rose's youngest child had developed a mysterious fever. By Wednesday, her husband came home and told her there was a problem with his promotion and it might be cancelled. The following week, contractor building their house called to say there was a dispute over the land documents and construction had to stop. Everything was working perfectly. The curses were landing exactly as land. Coven celebrated. But Rose had a prayer partner, an older woman from her church who had been through spiritual warfare before. This woman came to visit Rose when she heard about the problems. She looked at Rose and said, "This is not natural. Someone has sent something against your family." Then she taught Rose to pray Psalm 35 every morning at 5 o'clock. Not just read it, pray it with intention, with authority, with specific application to her situation. Rose started praying Psalm 35 the very next morning. She woke up at 5 a.m. She woke up at 5 a.m., knelt beside her bed, and prayed every verse. While thinking about her situation, when she reached the verse that says, "May those who seek my life be put to shame and confusion," declared specifically, "Lord, whoever sent these curses against my family, let them be covered with shame." When she reached the verse that says, "May ruin overtake them by surprise," she declared, "Lord, let the destruction meant for my house return to its sender without warning." Prayed the psalm every morning for 14 days. On the third day, I started feeling something strange during my rituals, a resistance I had never experienced before. Curses I was maintaining against Rose's family began to feel heavy, as if I was pushing against a wall that was pushing back. On the seventh day, the situation escalated dramatically. During a midnight ritual to strengthen the curses, 3 members of our coven fell sick simultaneously. Not ordinary sickness, argon, violent, unexplained. One collapsed during the ritual itself. Her body became stiff and she fell off him. Our stool. Another started vomiting uncontrollably right there in the middle of the ritual circle, disrupting the incantation. Up developed a headache so severe she could not stand, could not see clearly, could not form words. We had to carry all 3 out of the ritual room. So our head, which the one with over 40 years of experience, immediately knew what was happening. She said, "Someone is praying Psalm 35. We must stop this mission now, or we will all fall." But it was already too late. On the 14th day, when Rose completed her 2 weeks of praying Psalm 35, something devastating happened. Sister-in-law, who had paid for the curses, had an accident. Slipped falling directly into her own cooking fire. She was badly burned on the entire left side of her body. She was hospitalized for 3 weeks, but that was not all. While she was in the hospital, her old husband discovered the money she had hidden, the money she had paid to our coven. When he confronted her, the truth that came out. He discovered she had hired witches against her own family. He chased her out of the house when she was released from the hospital. She lost her marriage. She lost her reputation. She lost her peace. Everything she had wanted to do to Rose happened to her instead. And during this time, Rose's situation completely turned around. Child's fever disappeared overnight. Her husband's promotion was confirmed with an even larger raise. Topic was resolved and construction resumed. Within 6 weeks, everything that had been attacked was restored and multiplied. That is the power of Psalm 35. Talk. It does not just block, it reverses. Proof was meant to destroy you and sends it back to the sender. But here is what you need to understand. Psalm 35 does not work like a magic spell. It works when you pray it with understanding of what you are doing. You are not just reading words, you are activating a spiritual law, the law that says, whoever digs a pit will fall into it when you pray. Psalm 35, you are doing three things at once. Filing God as your advocate. You are saying, Lord, contend for me. You are not fighting yourself. You are calling the supreme judge to plead your case. Second, you are activating warrior angels. I say, may they be like chaff before the wind, with the angel of the Lord driving them away. When you pray this verse, my role was known as a night watcher. You release angels with a specific mission. Drive away those who are driving you. Third, you are activating the law of reversal. 8 says, may ruin overtake them by surprise. May the net they hid entangle them. May they fall into the pit to their ruin. This is a legal declaration in the spiritual realm. You are not cursing anyone. You are activating a law that God has already snorts established. Now, let me tell you how to pray Psalm 35 effectively. Wake up early, preferably before dawn. The hours between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning are the most powerful for this type of prayer because that is when witchcraft operations are most active. Kneel down. Posture matters in the spiritual realm. Kneeling shows humility before God and authority over the enemy. Read the psalm slowly, verse by verse, but after each key verse, stop and apply it personally. For example, when you read, may those who seek my life be put to shame and confusion. Stop and say, Lord, whoever sent this sickness, this financial problem, conflict in my marriage, let them be put to shame and confusion. Be specific. Do not pray generally. Name the manifestations of the curse you are experiencing. Do this for at least 14 days in a row. Remember, 14 is significant in the spiritual realm. It is 2 times 7, the number of divine perfection. Consistency creates spiritual momentum that witches cannot break. And here is what is crucial. Do not tell anyone that you are praying Psalm 35 witches, having informers everywhere. Here, person who sent the curse learns that you are praying this psalm, they may try to intensify the attacks before the reversal is complete. Pray in secret. Let God fight for you and watch what happens. Second Psalm, Psalm 199. The second Psalm of judgment I'm going to reveal is Psalm 199. Psalm 35 is the courtroom psalm. Psalm 109 is the execution of judgment. Psalm is so powerful that in our coven we called it the fire psalm. Why? Because when a Christian prayed Psalm 1:9 correctly, spiritual flames came out of their mouth and consumed everything that had been sent against them. Psalm 1:9 contains declarations that make witches tremble. Listen to some of these verses. Point someone evil to oppose my accuser. Let him be convicted. A prayers count as sin. May his days be few. Despise. May another take his place of leadership. May the sins of his fathers be remembered before the Lord. May the sin of his mother never be blotted out. These verses are not just words, they are spiritual decrees. When a believer prays them with faith and authority, they activate judgments in the spiritual realm that even the most powerful witches cannot cancel. Let me tell you what happened with a man I will call Brother Thomas. Thomas was a successful businessman in Kampala. Business was growing quickly, and he employed several people. But one of his employees, jealous of his success, came to our coven and paid to have Thomas lose everything. Specific. Make all of Thomas's customers leave him. Make all of Thomas's customers leave him. Make his suppliers refuse to work with him. Make his employees betray him. make him end up bankrupt. The curse was launched on a Tuesday evening. Within 1 week, Thomas lost three of his biggest customers. They all left without explanation. Just phone calls saying they no longer wanted to do business with him. Within 2 weeks, two of his suppliers raised their prices unreasonably, forcing him to look elsewhere. Within 3 weeks, he discovered that some of his employees were stealing money from the company. Everything seemed to be collapsing at once. Thomas prayed. He fasted. But things only got worse. Then a visiting prophet came to his church. This prophet did not know Thomas personally. This prophet did not know Thomas personally, but during the service, he pointed at Thomas and said, "Someone has sent a witchcraft spirit of failure against your business. But God says you must pray Psalm 1:9 for 21 days every morning without fail." Thomas obeyed. Morning at 5 a.m. He started praying Psalm 1199. He did not just read it, he declared it with force. When he came to the verse, "May his days be few, may another take his place," he declared, "Lord, let the one who plotted against my business lose their own position. Let someone else take their place." On the 10th day, something remarkable happened. The employee who had paid for the curse was caught stealing money from another company. He was arrested and imprisoned. Everyone was shocked because this man had seemed so respectable. But your realm, Psalm 19 had activated his downfall. On the 21st day of downfall, the 21st day, when Thomas completed his 21 days of praying Psalm 19, all his customers returned. But that was not all. They returned with bigger orders. Buyers who had raised their prices offered him discounts, apologizing for the misunderstanding. New loyal employees came to replace those who had betrayed him. Within 3 months, Thomas's business was twice as large as it was before the attack. Psalm 19 had not just blocked the curse, but forced that everything the enemy had stolen was restored and multiplied. But let me warn you about something important concerning Psalm 19. This psalm is extremely powerful. Why you must pray it with a pure heart. If you pray Psalm 19 with the spirit of personal revenge, it can backfire on you. Psalm is not for attacking people because they offended you. For ritual attacks, sent against you by witchcraft, sent against you by witchcraft. Before you pray Psalm 119, make sure your heart is right before God. Forgive everyone who has hurt you naturally. And then, with a pure heart, pray Psalm 19 against witchcraft operations. Here is how to pray it effectively. Start with verse 1 where David says, "My God, whom I praise, do not remain silent. Declare, Lord, I am calling on you now. Do not stay silent about what is happening to me." Then move to the verses that describe what the enemies are doing. 2 to 5 talk about lies, hatred, accusations without cause. Apply them to your situation. Lord, I am being attacked. If my role was known as a night watcher for no reason, lies have been told about me. Evil has been returned for good. Then pray the judgment verses with authority. 6 through 20 contain powerful declarations of reversal. Pray, read slowly, letting each decree take root in the spiritual realm. Do this for at least 21 days. The number 21 represents spirit. Yule perfection, 3 times 7, the time needed for complete reversal to manifest. And here is the key. Maintain consistency. Do not miss a single day. If you miss a day, start over. The enemy counts on your inconsistency. He knows that if you stop, he can reinsert his attacks. But if you maintain the full 21 days, the reversal will be total and final. The third psalm, Psalm 83. Now I will reveal the third psalm of judgment, Psalm 83. In our coven, we call this the collective exposure psalm. Why? Because unlike Psalm 35, which deals with individual attacks, and Psalm 19 reverses personal curses, Psalm 83 exposes and destroys group conspiracies. Psalm 83. Let me explain something you need to understand. Witchcraft rarely works alone. When a serious curse is sent against you, it is almost never the work of a single witch. It is a coordinated operation involving multiple people in the spiritual realm, and often multiple people in the natural who do not, even though they are being used. For example, when we received the major mission against someone, we formed what we call the curse circle. Troop could include 5 to 10 witches working together, plus family members of the person who were feeding jealousy, colleagues who were spreading rumors, plus neighbors who were watching and reporting, plus acquaintances who were blocking opportunities. All of these formed a demonic alliance against one person, and this alliance was invisible to the victim. They only saw the manifestations, the failure, the closed doors, the conflicts, the sickness, but they did not see the reason behind it. Psalm 83 exposes this conspiracy. Behind it, Psalm 83 exposes this conspiracy. Listen to these powerful verses. O God, do not remain silent. Do not turn a deaf ear. Do not stand still. O God, see how your enemies growl, how your foes rear their heads. With cunning they conspire against your people. They plot against those you cherish. These verses describe exactly what is happening: conspiracy, a plot, an alliance. Then the psalm continues with a devastating prayer. Treat them like Midian, like Sisera and Jabin at the river Kishon. May they be like refuse on the ground. Treat their leaders like Oreb and Zeb, all their princes like Zebah and Zalmunna. When a Christian prays these verses with faith, they are not praying against individuals, praying against the demonic alliance itself. They are asking God to break the conspiracy, liberate all the conspirators, and treat them as He treated the historical enemies of Israel, who banded together against His people. Let me tell you what happened with the woman I will call Sister Mary. Mary worked in a large company in Nairobi, competent, hardworking, and respected. But several of her colleagues, jealous of her success, formed an alliance against her. They spread lies about her. They sabotaged her work. They blocked her promotions. They created conflicts with clients, and on. Of them had even contacted our coven to strengthen their efforts with witchcraft. The curse sent against Mary was specific: make everything she touches fail, destroy her reputation, make her eventually lose her job. The attack started slowly. Documents she prepared disappeared. Emails she sent never arrived. Mode was scheduled when she was absent. Then things escalated. Clients started complaining about her for things she had never done. Supervisors started receiving anonymous reports saying she was incompetent. Other employees stopped it, avoiding working with her. Mary prayed, she fasted, she declared verses, but nothing seemed to work. In fact, things only got worse. She was about to be fired. Then an intercessor from her church, a woman with spiritual discernment, called her. Woman said, Mary, this is not one person against you. This is an alliance. Snorts, group of people are working together against you. You must pray Psalm 83. Mark Psalm 83 specifically, the intercessor X. Plain, because Psalm 83 does not deal with individual enemies, it deals with group conspiracies, exposes hidden alliances, and destroys them. Mary started praying Psalm 83 every morning at 5 a.m., prayed it with clear understanding of what she was doing. She was not praying against specific individuals, praying against the demonic alliance operating against her. On the third day, something remarkable began to happen. One of the colleagues who had been most active in the campaign against her had a car accident, not serious, but enough to keep him home for a week. While he was absent, someone else discovered emails on his computer showing that he had been manipulating information against Mary. Fifth day, another member of the alliance made a serious mistake on an important project. That mistake caused a financial loss for the company, and he was suspended. Seventh day, the person who had paid our coven was transferred to another department without notice. Without notice. But as if one by one the members of the alliance were being dismantled. But that was not all. On the 10th day, Mary's supervisor received an anonymous email, but this time from someone telling the truth. That email explained the entire conspiracy against Mary, who was involved, what tactics they were using, why they were doing it. The supervisor investigated. When the truth came out, 5 people were disciplined, 2 were fired, the rest were airwarned. Mary not only kept her job, she was promoted. The alliance that had conspired against her for months was completely exposed and destroyed. That is the power of Psalm 83. It does not just treat symptoms, it exposes and destroys the root, the alliance itself. Now listen carefully to how to pray Psalm 83 effectively. 1. Acknowledge that you are not fighting against a single person. Even if you think you know who is behind your problems, understand that there is probably a wider alliance that you cannot see. Second, pray verses 1 to 4, which expose the conspiracy. Say, Lord, expose every hidden alliance against me. Reveal who the conspirators are. Break their unity. Third, pray verses 9 to 18, which ask for judgment. Ask for judgment, but do this with a heart that seeks God's justice, not personal revenge. Say, Lord, treat this alliance as you treated the historical enemies of your people. Let their plan against me become their own trap. Do this for at least 7 days in a row. The number 7 represents perfection. 7 days of praying Psalm 83 creates a complete exposure of any hidden conspiracy. And here is what is powerful: you do not even need to know who the conspirators are. God knows them. Your job is not to find them out. Your job is to pray the psalm with faith and let God do the rest. The fourth psalm, Psalm 140, the fourth psalm of judgment I will reveal, is Psalm 140. This psalm is what we called in the calendar reverse trap psalm, the most specific psalm for those who have been trapped by witchcraft. Listen to these verses. Rescue me, Lord, from evil people. Protect me from violent people who plot evil in their hearts. Stir up war all day long. They make their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. Snorts, poison of vipers is on their lips. Psalm 140 recognizes a truth that many Christians ignore. Some people meditate constantly on evil against Anfer, the constantly on evil against you. These are not occasional thoughts of jealousy. This is deliberate, continuous meditation on your destruction. They think about it in the morning. They think about it in the evening. They plan. They plot. They look for ways to bring you down. When these evil thoughts are combined with witchcraft, they become extremely dangerous spiritual traps. They become extremely dangerous spiritual traps. But here is what Psalm 140 does. Verses 9 through 11 say, May the heads of those who surround me be covered with the trouble their own lips have caused. May burning coals fall on them. May they be thrown into the fire. May they never rise again. May slanderers not be established in the land. This is a prayer of complete reversal. The burning coals they prepared for you fall on them. A fire they lit for you consume them. The pits they dug for you swallow them. Let me tell you what happened to a young man I will call Paul. Paul was engaged to a beautiful young woman in Mombasa, but the young woman's mother did not want the marriage. She wanted her daughter to marry someone else, someone richer. She came to our coven and paid to have Paul trapped. The curse was elaborate. Make Paul commit a serious mistake that would make the young woman lose all respect for him. Then introduce the other suitor at the perfect moment. The trap was set carefully. Situations were created to make Paul look irresponsible, immature, and untrustworthy. Lies were planted. Misunderstandings were orchestrated. Little by little, the young woman's confidence in Paul eroded. She started doubting her. Hoist. And the other suitor waited in the wings, ready to step in. But Paul had an uncle who was a powerful intercessor. This uncle discerned what was happening. Paul, a trap has been set against your marriage. But you must pray Psalm 140 for 40 days, every day without fail. Paul obeyed. Every morning at 5 a.m., he prayed Psalm 140. He prayed it slowly, with intention, with faith. He declared, Lord, rescue me from the trap set against my marriage. Let those who plot my downfall fall into their own trap. On the 20th day, something unexpected happened. The mother of the young woman, the one who had paid for the curse, had a conversation with the other suitor she favored. In that conversation, without her knowing it, her daughter was listening. And the daughter heard her mother and this man talking about their plans to break her marriage to Paul. He heard how they had plotted together, how they had created situations to make Paul look bad. The truth was exposed. The young woman confronted her mother. She was furious. She broke all contact with the other suitor, and her love for Paul ended up being destroyed, strengthened because she realized how precious he was to her and how much others had conspired to take him away. Paul and his fiancée got married as planned, and the mother, whose trap was exposed, lost the respect of her own daughter for years. Traps she had set had trapped her instead. That is the power of Psalm 140. Now, how to pray Psalm 140 effectively. First, recognize that you are in a trap. Many Christians are trapped but do not realize it. They think it is just bad luck or difficult circumstances. But if you see repeated patterns where you are constantly misunderstood, misrepresented, or placed in compromising situations, probably a spiritual trap. Second, pray verses 1 to 5, which describe the traps. Be specific. Say, Lord, I recognize that traps have been set against me in my marriage, my work, my finances. Rescue me now. Third, pra. Why verses 9 to 11, which reverse the traps? Declare, let the traps set against me capture those who set them. Let the evil they planned return on their own heads. Do this for at least 40 days. The number 40 in the Bible represents a period of testing both and transformation. 40 days of praying Psalm 140 transform a situation from being trapped to complete freedom. The fifth Psalm, Psalm 91 with judgment declaration. Now I will reveal the fifth song. This one surprised even me when I was in the coven. We knew about Psalm 91. Every witch knew about Psalm 91. Every witch knew about Psalm 91. We called it the soldier's psalm because Christians who prayed it were hard to penetrate. But here is what we did not know until it was too late. There is a way to pray Psalm 91 that turns it from a protection psalm into a judgment. Most Christians pray Psalm 91 for safety. They say, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. They pray about the angel guarding them. They pray about not fearing the terror of night or the terror that flies by day. All of that is good. All of that is true. But here is the secret the covenant discovered the hard way. When you add a declaration of reversal to Psalm 91, it becomes something entirely different. It becomes a psalm that not only protects you but actively destroys the witches trying to reach you. Let me explain. Psalm 91 to 8 says, you will only look with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. Most Christians skip this verse. They do not understand it. But this verse is a judgment verse. It promises that you will see the wicked punished. When you pray this verse with authority, you are activating divine judgment against those who have sent evil against you. Verse 13 says, you will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. And Fritz, the serpent, represents the power of the coven. When you pray this verse and declare that you are tramply, and G serpents, you are declaring that you are crushing the power of every witch sent against you. And here is the most powerful part. When you combine Psalm 91 with a specific declaration of reversal, you create a spiritual fortress that witches cannot penetrate and that actively sends back every attack. Let me tell you what happened with a family I will call the Akoff family. This family was under a generational curse that had lasted for 3 generations. Every man in the family died before age 50. Every woman in the family remained childless or lost their children at a young age. What a constant, predictable, devastating pattern. The current head of the family, Mr. Predico, devastating my aunt, the Akoff, was 47 years old. He knew that according to the family pattern, he had only 3 years left to live. He was terrified. He had tried everything. He had gone to pastors. He had received deliverance. He had fasted, but nothing broke the pattern. Then someone told him about an old intercessor in a nearby church. Woman had a reputation for breaking generational curses. Mr. Akoff went to see her. The woman listened to him tell the story of his family. Then she said something that shocked him. Your family has not been praying the right psalms. Pray for protection, but you need to pray for reversal. I am going to teach you 5 psalms of judgment, and you are going to gather your whole family, all the men, all the women, all the children, and you are going to pray these psalms together for 40 days. Mr. Akoff obeyed. The entire extended family, 23 people in total. He explained what they were going to do. Some were skeptical, but facing the threat of death and childlessness, they all agreed to try. Every morning at 5 o'clock for 40 days, these 23 people gathered in one house and together out loud prayed the 5 Psalms. Psalm 45 to summon God as advocate. Psalm 19 to execute judgment buzzer, the demonic alliance behind the curse. Psalm 140 to reverse every trap on 191. With the declaration of reversal on the 10th day, something strange happened. One of the family aunts, who was not very spiritually engaged, had a dream. In this dream, she saw an old woman, an ancestor who had died long ago, standing in a dark forest performing rituals. Ancestor in the dream screamed, "Stop praying! You are destroying everything I built." The aunt woke up terrified. When she told the family about the dream, the intercessor guiding them smiled. She said, "This is confirmation. The root of your curse has been exposed. Keep pray." On the 20th day, one of the uncles of the family who lived in another country called. He said he had found old family documents in a trunk he had inherited. These documents revealed that a great great grandmother, to gain power and wealth pact, required that every generation sacrifice its men before age 50 and its women through childlessness. The truth was now clear. This was not just family misfortune. This was a deliberate act, and the five Psalms of judgment had exposed it. On the 40th day, when the family completed their prayers, they held a renunciation ceremony, publicly renounced the pact of their ancestors. They declared that only the blood of Jesus ruled their family now, and they symbolically burned the old documents. The results were extraordinary. Mr. Eckhart lived well past 50, 68 years old today, 21 years after praying the Psalms. Three women in the family who were childless became pregnant within the year following the prayers. They all had healthy babies. Two men in the family who had mysterious illnesses were completely healed, and the entire family was transformed, all because they prayed the right Psalms with faith and consistency. This testimony always fills me with wonder because it shows that no matter how long a curse has operated, no matter how many generations it has affected, these Psalms can break it. How to combine all five Psalms. Now, here is something powerful you need to know. These five Psalms can be prayed separately according to your situation. But when they are prayed together, they create a spiritual fortress that is absolutely impenetrable. Let me explain how to combine them. If you are under intense attack, here is what I recommend. Week 1, pray Psalm 35 every morning. This summons God as your advocate and activates the heavenly courtroom. Week 2, add Psalm 19. Now you are praying both Psalms every morning. Docking Psalm 35 summons the judge. Psalm 19 executes judgment. Week 3, add Psalm 83. Now you are praying three Psalms. Psalm 83 exposes the conspiring alliance behind your problems. Week 4, add Psalm 140. Now you are praying four Psalms. Psalm 140 reverses every trap. Week 5, add Psalm 91 with the reversal declaration. Now you are praying all five Psalms every morning. By the end of these 5 weeks, here is what will have happened in the spiritual realm. Every curse against you will have been sent back to its sender. Every conspiracy against you will have been exposed and destroyed. Every trap set for you will have captured those who set them. And you will walk in spiritual freedom you have never known before. But let me warn you, when you start praying these Psalms, the enemy will try to stop you. He will create distractions. He will make you sleep late. He will create emergencies that prevent you from praying. Why? Will plant thoughts of doubt. You must be ready for this resistance. You must decide ahead of time that no matter what happens, you will complete the 5 weeks. Set your alarm. Prepare your prayer place the night before. Write your commitment somewhere you will see it. Do not let anything stop you. My personal testimony. Now I want to tell you something personal. How I myself was affected by these Psalms during my 21 years in the coven. Convinced that I served how? I thought I had control. I thought I was on the winning side. But there was a Christian woman we targeted who changed all of that. But I will not give her name, but I will call her Mama Grace. Mama Grace was a simple woman in rural Kenya. She did not look special from the outside, but this woman had a prayer life I had never seen before. Our coven had received a mission against her from a member of her own family. The mission was to make her insane, to destroy her mind. We sent our most powerful curses at praying the five Psalms of judgment every morning at 4 o'clock without fail for 40 days. For 40 days, US, we laughed. We thought it was just an old woman making useless prayers. But on the 10th day, three of our most powerful witches fell seriously ill. On the 20th day, the person who had paid for the curse had an accident that paralyzed him. On the 30th day, our warhead witch herself started having terrifying visions. She saw angels with flaming swords around Mama Grace's house. She saw our curses returning like flaming arrows. On the 40th day, when Mama Grace completed her prayers, something broke in the spiritual realm. That night I had a vision. I thought it was a dream back then, but now I know it was a vision. I saw Jesus. I had never seen him before, but that night I saw him clearly, and he looked at me with eyes full of love, and but his gaze said everything. And then he spoke. You want to know what he said exactly? I already made a video that details everything, and I will link it below. In that moment, I realized I was on the wrong side. Everything I had done for 12 years was an abomination. Slave, not a master. That vision broke me. Started crying uncontrollably during the ritual that night. Then the witches panicked. They did not know what to do. I left the ritual circle that night and never returned. The following days were the hardest of my life. The spirits I had served for over a decade tormented me. They threatened me. They tried to kill me. But something in me had changed. I wanted to be free, even if it cost me my life. I found a church. I went one Sunday morning too, rambling, terrified, but determined. Pastor preached about freedom in Christ. At the end of the service, he gave an altar call. Walked forward and gave my life to Jesus Christ. The deliverance was long. 3 days of intensive prayer. Demons screamed. My body twisted. I vomited things I cannot even describe. But at the end, I was free, completely free. And that day, my life has been transformed. But here is what is important for you. What touched me, what broke the covenant's power over me, was not just Mama Grace's prayers in general. Specifically, the 5 Psalms of judgment. Those Psalms sent our curses back with such force that we were dismantled from the inside. I found my time teaching Christians the same weapons that brought me to Christ. You are under attack if curses are operating in your life. Do not despair. You now have the weapons. You know the 5 Psalms: Psalm 35, Psalm 140, Psalm 140, Psalm 91, with the reversal declaration. Use them. Pray them with faith. Pray them with consistency. And watch how God reverses every curse, every conspiracy, and destroys every trap. Final instructions. Before I finish, I want to give you a complete protocol for maximizing the power of these Psalms. First, greater than, snorts, greater than create a dedicated prayer place. It does not need to be big, just a quiet corner where you will not be disturbed. This place becomes your spiritual courtroom where you meet God every morning. Second, establish a fixed time. Consistency is crucial. The ideal is between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., but if that is not possible, choose a time you can maintain every day without exception. Third, prepare yourself spiritually. Before you start praying the Psalms, spend a few minutes praising God. Praise creates a pure spiritual atmosphere. Then repent of any known sin. A pure heart amplifies the power of your prayers. Fourth, pray the Psalms out loud. There is power in spoken words that silent reading does not have. Months out loud, you release spirit. You decrease into the atmosphere. Fifth, personalize the prayers. Do not just read the words generally, apply them specifically to your situation. You are praying against the financial curse, mention it. If it is an attack on your marriage, say it. If it is a conspiracy at work, name it. Sixth, keep a journal. Write down each day you pray. Also, write down any changes you observe. Often, reversals start subtly, and you will only notice them if you document them. Seventh, fast if possible. Combining these Psalms with fasting multiplies their effectiveness. Even a partial fast, skipping 1 meal per day, will add a dimension of power to your prayers. Eighth, stay alert. The enemy will try to discourage you. He will plant thoughts like this is not working, or you are wasting your time. But keep praying even if you do not see immediate results. The reversal is building in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the natural. Ninth, protect your testimony. Do not tell everyone what you are doing. Witches have informers, often who sent the curse, know that you are praying the Psalms of judgment. They may try to intensify the attacks. Pray in secret. Let God defend you publicly. Tenth, prepare for victory. When the curses start reversing, be ready. Sometimes the reversals are spectacular. If we were the watcher, your enemies may be exposed publicly. Those you did not expect may open suddenly. Stay humble. Give all the glory to God. Final warning and a final prayer. Let me give you a final warning. These Psalms are powerful, but they do not replace a relationship with God. You cannot live in sin and pray these Psalms thinking they will work.